Thank you so much for joining us. Today we're talking about community and commerce. And the focus of that is when you use purpose to attract and engage your customer while they help you develop your products and services. Today, on the stage, we have Marta Worley, the founder and CEO of Truth in Aging. Right after her, we have Michele Cordero-Grant, the founder and CEO of Lively. After that, we have Katherine Brody, Director of E-commerce for Draper James. And last but not least, Jenny Bike, founder and CEO of Orchard Mayo. I also run a Women to Watch program, and we have 80 women in retail who are insatiably curious about solving things that haven't happened yet, and these are 4 of our 80 women. So one of the topics that we have all been working on for the last year is community. The key to community is purpose. Using purpose and building community enables a company to have a dialogue with their customer in a way that goes beyond just selling product. If they trust you, they're more likely to think, they're more likely to think that your motives are beneficial to them. So whether you're selling in a local or global market, community and purpose help you attract like-minded individuals that will support your community goals before their own personal agendas. And that's powerful. When you're running a network or a group of people where there's no purpose, they will answer their own desires before yours. So it's a powerful tool. All of these women are using that in certain ways. So this is a new concept, and we've seen it with Sephora and Beauty Talk. It's a really well-developed, but in a very textual sort of way. But it's getting ready to it is entering early mass consumer adoption. And basically, again, using purpose and community to attract and engage your customer will help you develop your products and services. And the key to that is that it helps you have that customer for longer periods of time over more product development. So that trust that you gain with them allows them to grow with you. So that said, we're going to go through, and you guys can just use this. And each of our community brands is going to talk a little bit about how they're using it, so you can get some ideas about the way we're gaining traction.
Okay, so Truth in Aging is my website, and it didn't start out in retail at all. We started out doing very in-depth content around skincare. Anti-aging skincare was a really white space in the market, I thought, where there wasn't good information, and women were willing to spend a lot of money. There was very little trust between them and the big beauty brands. And so I created an online place where they could find good information that they could really trust, and did that through in-depth content that was very objective and honest and informative. That's what I set out to do. And it attracted this community of women that became very, very loyal and very highly engaged on an emotional level with the website. And then out of that evolved a retail business. They actually curate their own commerce, and to this day we still have the same model. So the women of the community, they test products on themselves for at least 30 days. If that product works and they get a very strong endorsement for it, they become a brand ambassador for that particular product. And we're often bringing in very uncommon brands that nobody's really ever heard of, that wouldn't get a look in normal retail. So we're giving exposure to innovators at really at the kind of cutting edge of the beauty industry. And so only the products that these women have tested and have endorsed and that have something unique about them will get sold in the store. So it's truly a curated commerce experience. And I don't really know what to do here, but maybe press that.
The green one.
The big green one.
There we go. Hi, so my name's Michele, founder and CEO of Lively. Lively is actually a women's wear brand that is just 1 year old. We just celebrated our 1 year anniversary last month. And really, we created this brand and this movement. We don't think of ourselves really as a product company. We think of ourselves as a community, first and foremost. Our goal was really to look at the lingerie space, where I had spent a tenure of my career and worked for an amazing brand that had a really sound, strong, powerful brand voice and a point of view, and I just felt that there was room for another conversation to be had. One about making women feel more inspired, feeling confident, feeling fulfilled in what they do, having the confidence to not just participate, but to start to lead, and really empowering women of all ages. We don't speak to a demographic, we speak to our community, we speak to our ethos. And so that's what Lively represents. Today we deliver a product that we call Lingerie. It's a lingerie product inspired by not just lingerie, but athleisure and swimwear, and bringing all of those components together so that women can really lead healthy, active, smart lifestyles. And so when we went on this journey, we didn't start by thinking about our marketing strategy or our pricing strategy or actually all the fundamentals I had learned up until that point in my career. We threw them all out the window and we said, let's truly do something different. Let's be girls, let's have fun. Let's just create something for ourselves and see how people respond. And so we did that. We went out and we shopped and we bought everything that we were loving and living in. It was yoga pants, it was colorful, cool-handed bikinis, and just the most functional bras in the market. And we started to cut waistbands off yoga pants and staple them to bralettes, and we sent them to our manufacturers, and they're like, what is this? We're like, don't worry about it, just try it, just make it, let's see what happens. And from that point, again, we didn't go to the fundamentals about building, how are we gonna acquire customers? How are we gonna spend our marketing dollars? We said, let's go to social. Let's talk to the women in our community and actually see how they respond to this idea and this concept so that we get an honest answer to how women are actually embracing what we're creating. It's not about us, it's about all the people coming together and building something really sound that can grow and evolve and become monumental. So we just put images up on Instagram, and we put some of our sound bites, like Wild Hearts, Boss Brains, up on a website in February of 16. And instantly, women started direct messaging us. What is this? How can we be a part of it? There was no messaging on price. There was no messaging on product. And we started to build ambassadors. We started having women from states all over the country. And we're like, whoa, people are actually engaged and interested in what we're talking about. Let's take this to the next level. So we did an email campaign, and we emailed 250 of our friends. We said, we're a new brand, we have a strong ethos, we're really passionate about spreading the word. Can you send this to your friends and family? And in response, we'll give you credits towards your first purchase on wearlively.com. Again, nothing about price, nothing about product. And we sent it out on a Friday, 250 people. We had a goal of, we're gonna have 5,000 people on our email list when we launch. And in 48 hours, we had 133,000 people submit their email address, 280,000 uniques, and 300 sessions globally. It went viral. Women all around the world were like, yes, we are healthy, we are confident, we are smart, and that is sexy. And that's what Lively is today. We don't focus on product, we focus on our conversation with our customers. And we are a direct-to-consumer brand, but we actually spend the most amount of our time on physical activations and spending time with our community. We've had 20 physical interactions with our customer over the last year, and it's by partnering with unexpected ways, doing things that we know our customer loves. Like we partnered with a succulent brand and introduced them to the sill. It's plants and bras. That doesn't make sense, but it does because that's what our customer is excited about. So you can see, what we really focus on is that conversation, that community, and because of that, our conversion, our KPIs are beyond anything I ever actually imagined because it's a real sound conversation. We don't take markdowns, we don't do sale. Actually, all of our bras are one price and all of our undies are one price. It's simple.
So impressive. All right, Katherine.
Love that story.
I know, 130,000 emails over a weekend. This is pretty impressive. Is it going? No, green button. There we go.
There's 2 green buttons on there, just for the record.
That's awesome.
So I'm Katherine. I'm the director of e-commerce at Draper James, which is Reese Witherspoon's Southern-inspired lifestyle brand. And Reese grew up in the South and built the brand on wanting to bring the things that she loves about the South to the South and to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. And so, we really built our brand on this brand promise that, we're going to highlight everything wonderful about the South. So, we're welcoming, we're inclusive, we're colorful, we believe in being pretty and polished and put together. And so really from the beginning have had this clear vision of what the brand is and the message that we're trying to convey. So we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary last week.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And similarly, we launched the web first. And so, and in this time when social media was, so wonderful and so big, and we're able to grow our social following really, really quickly. And then we had the amazing opportunity to have Reese Witherspoon behind us. And so we're able to leverage her social channels and PR, and had a tremendous amount of eyeballs from the beginning. So we turned the lights on the website and had 150,000 visits in the first day. Luckily kept the lights on and didn't take the site down, so that was great. And so then we started, building content. Our customer and our targeting was like, okay, give us all of Reese's audience and all the PR, and let's get in front of as many eyeballs as possible, and let's start telling our story. So really highlighting everything that we love about the South and the tenets of the brand. And then we listened. So the wonderful thing about social is all of your feedback is real time. So we read every single comment, every single comment on Reese's feed, every customer service email, and then we react and evolve. So after kind of, the first few weeks, there was a few things that were very clear. We needed a lot more content. She liked what we were saying, and we needed to understand how to build this authentic Southern story, and so really leverage bloggers and influencers in the South to build wonderful content that's really authentic and on the ground, and then partnering with like-minded customer bases, so like a Southern Living and these big influencers. And then the second thing that was really clear is we need to get much smarter about who our customer is and how we're targeting her. And we're affordable luxury. Our average order size is about $250. She is relatively affluent, and she has a certain sensibility. We have a lot of color and patterns, and seersucker with cherries. It's definitely a... So it's not for everyone.
It's for a Southern woman.
But it's a lot of people. I can dress every woman in this room, I promise. But so really realized that we needed to get much more honed in and build our customer base on our own. And when you look at Reese's following and her social following, she has 18 million people that we have at our fingertips, which is amazing. But when you start to take out men, people under the age of 18, people who are not in the US, you slice that about in half. And so really tailoring the content that we're putting out on her channels, because all those people might not love Draper James, but they all love Reese. And so getting really smart about how she's talking about the brand, and realizing that when she's pushing out something that feels really organic and authentic, which is easy enough, she wears the clothes every day, but when we're serving up something like our Valentine's Day dress on Valentine's Day and she's got a heart, it's something that really appeals to her audience, but then also attracts our customer as well. And then on our side, making sure that we're building our foundation of customers who are in our brand demographics. So then the cycle starts again. We've targeted in, we're building more content, and we're really listening and understanding what are people liking, what's driving the most traffic to the site, what's driving the most revenue to the site. And you start to get a clear vision of what's working and what's not working. She's not that trendy. She doesn't like trends. If we push her too far on like mixing and matching patterns, she doesn't like it. Also understanding the importance of balance, which is hard for me. I'm a direct marketer. I look at dollars. I want to hit our sales plan every day, and it's tough to kind of take a step back and understand that you've got to put out just as much lifestyle content for your community so you can build trust and engagement as you do trying to sell this really lovely dress that I know you guys will all love. So then that feedback loop gets a little bit more granular. We have tools now that we're able to leverage, and one of my favorite social tools is like $30 a month. We have a BI tool that kind of helps us drive customer data, but then it's also really emotional too. It's really an art and a science. So understanding your customer and understanding what the metrics are.
That's great.
I'll help you.
Which screen button?
Right.
The big one.
This one, yeah, you've got a few.
Okay, cool. Hi everyone, I'm Jenny Bike. Thank you for sticking around for the 3:30 session. I know there's a lot going on. So I run a company called Orchard Mile, which I co-founded in 2014 with a couple great partners. And we are effectively a street, a personalized shopping street online, where brands can open up a brand shop to become more direct to consumer. And we can upload them with a flip of a switch, and it is completely zero IT integration without a single need for IT time, marketing time. I can drive multi-brand traffic with mono-brand economics. And so it's a marketplace, it's zero inventory. We have about 120 brand partners to date, and we continue to grow. But I think why Kelly had asked me to be on a panel today is because, you know, with that vantage point of 120 brands, I think the way that, so I used to run strategy at Burberry prior to this. And the way that people or brands think about community sometimes is about their community of brand fans. And it's always about a fixed pie. So if you think about your adjacent brands, you're constantly trying to steal share from a different brand into your own brand. Or maybe you are hoping on the pie generally growing because you think of the US high household income, spend, and you're hoping that generally people are spending more on luxury or more on contemporary, what have you, and the share of wallet actually to consumer ends up growing. So you're betting on that. But what I think is different about community today is that the world has become more collaborative as the startup ecosystem has grown. We've seen a lot of that. And we're thinking about partnership with not only the tech ecosystem and the media ecosystem, but also brands with each other. So the question is, if you're brand X and you're brand Y, could you drive more traffic because you partnered with each other in a thoughtful way, not because you just need to drive traffic, but with a specific consumer in mind? We've got Montauk Beach House here on the top left-hand corner, where we're driving consumers to a specific locale, and we're putting together kind of a beach, event for them with different brand partners that have an affinity or an interest to acquire that high household income 30 to 40-year-old customer who happens to be at Montauk Beach House this summer. Additionally, we did a really interesting pop-up last year at Brookfield Place, where anyone that walked into that gift box could actually enter to win the entire contents of that Orchard Mall gift box. And our brand partners participated because there was an email acquisition share. So maybe each brand partner in and of themselves would not have gotten the kind of wherewithal to go partner with Brookfield and say, okay, I'm gonna open up a pop-up by myself. But perhaps a platform like ourselves can serve that up in a way that's completely easy and seamless. So I have 3 slides because, of course, I over-prepared. So another thing is that we have is a proprietary editorial thread called Walk the Mile. And this is where an unpaid influencer will pick her favorite place in the world. In this case, it's Mykonos. And she'll do kind of a completely brand agnostic pick of her packing list for Mykonos. And what's interesting about this is if you are Temperley London or if you are Roland Murray, if you have an editorial story, you're kind of just talking to the same audience. But what's interesting about this story is when every brand in that story blasts it out on their social channels, it becomes a cross-acquisition of interest and traffic that's completely authentic and sort of organic here. And then the last thing about community that I'll just add is that we are a small company, we're a startup. And one thing that we personally believe is that it's not about personalization. There have to be people behind the platform. And I believe that today consumers are not demanding enough of e-commerce, actually. And I know that sounds crazy or maybe like exhausting to hear, but what if there was a platform that could be completely experiential that delivers more than is just, first day delivery or single day delivery? My team complains sometimes because we spend every Friday writing personalized thank you notes to every single person that's shopped on our site. And I often put my business card into the people who actually live in New York and say, come visit us in our offices. We're located in the WeWork in Gramercy Park. And so sometimes customers come visit us. They said, I really want to know if this is your idea of service. Here's what I'm interested in, and it's just a really completely organic conversation with the customers that we have today.
Awesome. Will you click it forward? So I think really knowing this is innovation that's just happening, one of the things that I ask them to do is think about the challenges and the things that aren't working and how are you learning your lesson. So we're going to end with how it's going great, but I'd like each of you, and I'll start with Marta.
Well, the main thing is that building a community is extremely challenging. I mean, you can buy a lot of Facebook likes, but that's not a community. And to build a community, it's genuinely a one-on-one process. I mean, we've heard before, people look at every single comment, they write letters, they reply to them. That's the way I did it. I mean, back 8 years ago, every single woman that came to my website, I would write, if she commented, I would write back. And until we build the dialogue and trust, and then that dialogue starts to happen between other members of the community, it's not just a one-way street with me. Also, the other big challenge is authenticity. As you can hear from my accent, I'm not American, which means I don't like to put myself forward very much. I'm half German and half English, and we're not very good at not in a good way at self-promotion. But what I've had to do, and if you look at my website, it does look like, I've sort of cultivated my personality quite a bit. And that's because there's so much faux blogging out there. There's so much faux websites that you have to say, there's a real woman here. There's an actual person. There are people that's creating this content that are, having this engagement with you. And that's been a challenge on a personal level. But it's also a challenge to sort of keep it up because you actually, it means I've got to be pristine in my behavior. And you're dealing with the general public. It's not always easy. I think the real success that we've had is to move, to start to evolve into a research platform, a socially driven research platform for ourselves and for brands. And we've actually initiated product development. So I have some of my own branded products, which the suggestions came from the community, and then we iterated the products. We actually tested it out with them until they evolved into products that were, actually sellable. In fact, one of them has been cleared by the FDA, so it went a long way.
The hair one?
Yeah, the face one. The hair one's next, hopefully.
Game for women, yeah, which is needed.
And also for our brands. So we sell third-party brands, and I mentioned they're fairly small and innovative ones. So we have to help them be successful, and that's another challenge. But when it's successful, they bring their products, they bring early prototypes, they test them on the community, and they're evolving their own brands and experience with this kind of very big free R&D pool. So it's unique.
Amazing. Challenges and obstacles, it's definitely bandwidth and time because when you're building a community, it really needs to be authentic and it needs to be personal. So in the beginning, when you have that many emails, you're turning on customer service immediately, answering questions, taking amazing feedback, and you want to put that into your pipeline of product and your experience as well. So for us, it's really deciding how to spend our team's bandwidth and really setting up models to get ROI on organic activations, it's really hard. We did an activation at Montauk Beach House as well, and we actually watched how many people walked over to our booth. We asked questions as to why they attended, and we also saw a repeat rate on that weekend of 2 days and counted how many people came back the next morning and bought again and purchased again. So it's turning the community and those events and interactions into business and understanding the ROI on how to build your community that much faster and that much more profitable as well. I think the other challenge and obstacle is there's so many channels in which you're building your community. It's social, it's with brand partnerships, it's in pop-ups and pop-ins. So it's just how do you spend your time? Where do we see success? The people that we acquire through our community and our organic activations are actually our strongest customers. They have the highest repeat rates, they have the highest LTVs. They actually are our brand ambassadors. They push the brand forward for us. And 1 month with all of those women that we acquired on Instagram to be brand ambassadors, there's no pay behind that. We ship to every state in the country because they were on the ground for us, championing our brand and spreading the word. We all know that when women love something, they don't share it, they shout it.
That's good.
That's a good one, yeah.
So looking at challenges and obstacles, I mean, we've really built this community through social, and we don't own any of those platforms, and there are so many of them, and they move really quickly. And Instagram, for one, really grew very quickly for us and was a big revenue stream, and you're at the whim of the platform. So like looking at last summer when Instagram changed their algorithm, we were driving 12% of our business through social, with most of it coming from Instagram, and weren't ready. And luckily we're super nimble and can react and start to fund things like paid social, where that organic Instagram is dropping off. But it was a challenge, and I think it's important to protect yourself and make sure that you're building communities that you own. And so making sure that your email list is solid and growing, and you have the same connection and the same conversation in your owned and operated media as you do in the social space.
Yeah, in terms of challenges, so I think with any small company, we all know that it's time, resources, human resources. But I think what's sometimes interesting is to look at those challenges as perhaps strengths, which I don't want to be too Pollyanna about it. But I think because we don't have a revenue stream of selling out different parts of the homepage, so a brand X will get the top right-hand corner because they paid X more, or dedicated emails will cost X. What that allows you to do is create editorial content that's really true and that really reads well for your consumer, and it's not swayed by anything else rather than just building a really cool community of people who actually read your stuff, not because they were forced to, but because they want to. So for example, if you look at our editorial on site, Walk the Mile, or any of the trend stories, it's always about fewer, better things, and it's about how to help the consumer. So 7 genius ways to wear a black turtleneck is about one turtleneck. It's not even that expensive on the site, but it's about how do you create kind of these avenues for women to explore what you could do with that black turtleneck. 16 ways to wear white sneakers that are trending all over downtown New York City, or 36 thoughtful graduation gifts. For that reason, we're all about, okay, how do you create editorial as a service rather than a product that someone has pushed to you? It's about pulling rather than pushing, and that's our philosophy.
What about good, positive? What are some successes you're seeing?
Well, I think the good and positive is always that, for us, it's about experimentation. And the brands specifically have become our best advocates. So if we're a marketplace, the supply side for us obviously is the brands. We partner directly with them. And so, in most companies, when you have an established product, you're actually pushing different products that you could sell and monetize. For us, we spent the first 2 years of Orchard Mile actually just learning and saying, okay, what are you trying to achieve? What are your real issues? Is it really that 30 to 40-year-old women? Why? And trying to think and problem solve with them. Being a think tank, my team is like full of great media people, retail people, logistics people. So trying to think of a problem and a solution that is brand right, that's not going to denigrate your brand equity, has always been our MO. So if that's the case, one example we have is, we're releasing this product called My Mile on June 7th, and we had the product in beta since launch, but it's basically where you can go and again, create your own personalized shopping street and say, okay, across all these different brands and different categories, what would your perfect Rodeo Drive or your favorite Miracle Mile look like? And so Roland Murray, which is one of our favorite brands that has been on the platform for a long time, they gave us about 50 deluxe winter candles. And they said, you know what? You guys do whatever you want to do with these candles. Maybe you gift them to people who've bought Roland Murray on site, but they're yours. And basically what we did, instead of doing that, we wanted to do an experiment. And we said, okay, why don't we gift these candles to people who dropped Roland Murray into their mile? So it's in the consideration part of the funnel, but it hasn't transacted. And so what that did, when we gifted that candle to the people who had actually, so we read the data in My Mile, figured out who had dropped dropped Roland Murray in the mile, sent the candle with a personalized note saying, thanks for considering Roland Murray. What that did was allow a kind of word of mouth and building of a community that was completely different than what we had seen prior. And it's because of that element that really is truly surprise and delight that we were able to really see success off of that initiative.
That's great. Well, so we're already out of time, and we don't have time for questions, but it's terrible. I didn't know we were going to go that fast and that exciting, but we do have a break, so I think you can all talk to these ladies at the break time if you want to ask some specific questions like where does the budget come from? Yeah. So that's it. Thank you. Thank you.